we are yet again. It's another month, so it is another book review from Light Brew. Today we are discussing one of Stephanie O's picks, and this one is called "The Boys on the Boat" by Daniel James Brown. Now, just to give a little bit of a synopsis or summary of the book, it says The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown tells the true story of the University of Washington's row team and their quest for gold in the 1936 Olympics. That's a summary of what the book's about. Now, for me, I was thinking, like, is this a true story? Is it a little bit of fiction sprinkled in? But before we get into that, how we do things here is we do a spoiler-free review where we, give you our star ratings in the first half. Now, after you get our star ratings, we get into spoilers. So if you haven't yet read the book, you want to dip out after the star ratings, okay? But Stephanie O, do tell why you selected this book of all books for your selection.
I, to be honest, was not familiar with this book. I found out about this book because I was going to the movies and I happened to see the movie in theaters a couple months ago, and I
Oh,
was intrigued by the movie. I didn't go see it, and I'm so glad I didn't. But then I went like doing some research and realized it was, based on a true story. Of course, there was a book, so I had kind of put in the back of my mind like this could be interesting based on like the type of books I enjoy, which is I do like the manical Harry Potter esque, and then I also like sports related anything. So
okay.
just kind of on brand with what I would read if I were picking up a book by the by.
Okay, a sports girly. All right, nothing wrong with that. Now, with that being said, tell us your thoughts of the book so far.
So of course we read the first half. I was initially really impressed with the description. It was kind of giving me quietly Great Gatsby vibes. I love the detail. I loved how I loved the amount of information they provided to really give us the backstory and really paint the scene of what was going on in that era as well as in the lives of the main characters. And so if Manacle is my standard five, I'm giving this book a strong four.
Wow, 4.
4 stars.
Okay, interesting, interesting. E, thoughts and star rating.
I will definitely agree. The narration and kind of not world building, but kind of like establishing the setting, the time, the era, all of that is very, very thorough. And it is reminiscent of the way that The Great Gatsby is written. It just feels very traditional American classic and how it's written stylistically. Um, that said, it does have the same I'll say somewhat issues that I have with The Great Gatsby, in that it can be a little text heavy. So, with that combined with like a soothing voice of the narrator, I'm not gonna lie, like I had the best nap of my life after like the first 2 hours of this. But that said, once I, got up and I'm like cooking and stuff, it's a really good book to like be doing your chores and stuff too, because it just really, it gets into the action, and once it gets into like the actual rowing and the crew and all of that, it just really pulls you in. Like it felt like listening, like it just makes you feel like that retro feeling of listening to sports on the radio. I know that like even us, we weren't born in that era, but it just felt very much like that. And so for me thus far, I'll give it like a 3.8 so far, only because I don't know, some of the like family stuff really triggered me and just made me very upset. And I don't love, although I understand he's a man of the time, I don't love how Joe is dealing with that. But he's mature, so I don't know. That's just a me thing. So 3.8 for me, leaning toward 4.
Okay. Interesting. Now for me, um, This book took a little while to warm up for me. When I first started reading it, I was thinking, "What is this?" Because as you guys can recall, I wasn't the biggest fan of Great Gatsby, uh, so it was a little much for me. Very much, dry. You got to get used to the pacing, to the descriptions. And it was honestly, it seemed like we had a lot more characters in the beginning. So I was like, okay, who's supposed to be our main character here? Because it was doing a lot of flipping and switching at the beginning. But then when we kind of zeroed in on Joe, right? This being our eyes and ears of the story, that's when it really started to pick up for me. So just spoiler free, I will give this book so far. Again, I've read the first half. So far, I'm going to give it a 3. I'm giving it a 3 so far. I'm hoping that it continues with its current direction in the later half. I do like that. Uh, Unlike E-Boogie, apparently, I really enjoyed the kind of family aspect. It wasn't triggering for me, but it's what actually brought me into the book. I was thinking, okay, this is where the meat and potatoes is. And when it got a little bit too technical with the rowing, that's when I started to kind of fall out of it again. I don't need all the mechanics of rowing. I am not a row kind of girl. I don't know nothing about the sport. And honestly, I don't care to know too much more about the sport. I'm just here for for the story. But with that being said, yes, 3 stars. Now, we're getting into spoilers, a spoiler review. So if you like the video so far, please like the video and come back when you finish so you can talk about the spoilers with us when you do. Stephanie O, what's going on? What's going on with this book for you? What part really called to you? What didn't, do it for you so much?
And so I'll say I felt like it was like 3, maybe even 4 things that really drew me in. Number one, I loved how technical it was. I really
Ooh.
enjoyed understanding not only how the boats were built, understanding the mechanics of rowing, understanding what it takes to be a member of a crew. I even was bookmarking certain areas because I kind of told y'all this in a previous review. If you ever watch Vampire Diaries, you have to remember something from episode 1 and episode 2700, right? They always bring it together, and I just appreciated the attention to detail that one had to maintain while listening to this book to make sure they were following the script, right? And it's so funny you said you didn't know who the main character was, because right away I could pick up on who it was, and we know about all these other people just to add more context to Joe. And so I like very intricate books. I also really enjoyed understanding not only Joe's struggle, but seeing Joe's struggle through his girlfriend's eyes and even from the father's perspective. And I felt like I liked Joe more and more as the book went on because of how much he's endured and still persevering. I also enjoyed learning about the blue bloods, if you will, of crew, the different Ivy Leagues, how schools came into prominence. Like for me, holistically, I just enjoyed learning about the sport, learning about the characters, understanding even the world events going on in Berlin, Hitler, all of it. Like I have enjoyed every chapter so far.
Okay,
So
okay.
far it's been really good.
I will say this whole, East Coast, West Coast beef going on in the rowing world was very surprising to me. I didn't know that
Not
it was
Tupac
so,
Biggie.
I didn't know it was so tough out there. But
First and foremost, I love Joyce. I love Joyce from the very beginnings of her introduction. I love how Joe and Joyce met and how their love blossomed and flowered. I loved how because I am Joyce, right? When Joe finally went to visit his family who had abandoned him at 15.
Wasn't his family though? Let's since it's a spoiler, that is not his family. So that ain't
It's
his
his
mother.
father.
that's his dad.
It's his father.
That's
Barely.
his
But that woman
bio dad.
that woman is not his mother. So I don't
It is.
expect nothing from no selfish, conniving, you know what. But go ahead. I'm
It is
sorry to interrupt.
it is the family that he had come to know, and she. I agree. She is. I want to feel for her, and I want to sympathize with her because being a woman in that time, at her age, with as many kids as she had, and not being able to, and basically being trapped in the system. Like, I want to sympathize for her as a woman, but of her same age, but at the same time, it's like, she is evil. And I just can't imagine marrying into a family and being so treacherous about the eldest son just because he's not my son. There really isn't any reason truly why she is evil to him, other than the fact that she needs an outlet for why she is upset about the outcome of her own life. And it really troubled me. It really disturbed my spirit to to hear how her energy was toward Joe when Joe had sustained for himself after they abandoned him.
Mhm.
Had gone out of his way to come visit, only wanted to see his half siblings, which I don't really believe in half, but only wanted to see his siblings, only wanted to see his dad, and for her to just shut the door on him, not let him in, and just like, why are you even doing the pleasantries at this point?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why you even open the door? You're being cold to him. And if I was Joyce, it would have been a different story. But that said, like, I really felt Joyce on being like, why aren't you mad? Like, but I understood. There's some, as a woman, it has been very difficult as I've grown into adulthood to understand what constitutes manhood and what constitutes kind of being in a place that you are self-sufficient and that you're not really relying on other people to dictate how you treat your life and what you do with the opportunities you're presented, or creating your own opportunities. And Joe is like, he's really painted in this book like the epitome of a man. And I just really respect him. And I really did not go into reading this thinking I was gonna, even though we're only a little bit through, but I didn't go into this thinking that I was gonna be so moved to the point of like, I'm being painted a visual portrait of what being a man in America is, especially a man who comes from very humble beginnings, who basically has to carve out his own life from nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's what this story is. And I really, I love stories like this, but it's just very hard to get through it, because at the same time of him doing so well and being so successful in school, it's like after their first loss, the coach is pretty much like, we don't know if anybody's going to continue to be on the team next year. Like, anybody could be up for cutting. And it just was, he has to constantly be looking over his shoulder, like he everything he's worked so hard for and picking berries and watercress to survive for could be taken away from him at any time. And I hate that feeling. But I think he's an excellently written character. I hope it's true to life, because there are a lot of details in the story that feel like almost too perfect.
Yes.
But he's a true man of character, and I just really can appreciate how his character is being written and what he is as a man.
I agree. There were some parts in the book that I was thinking, okay, that's why I wasn't sure if it was a true story, or if it was like, kind of enhanced with a little fiction. But Joe is a very interesting character, very sympathetic. Knowing that he does need growing in order to like stay in the school and continue to progress. It's like, this is what he has. This is what he has to work with. So he has to do his best at it. And when it comes to the stepmom, right? First of all, yeah, she is a mess. I was thinking, like, was it like postpartum depression? Like, what's going on? But the kids were older, so I was trying to come up
with. We don't know. There's nothing.
No. She did not like first of all, Joe was the second of the two of his original boys. She did not, in my opinion, from what I inferred from reading the story, she was not interested in being a stepmother. And when her kids came, she did not like the fact that there was another child there that was not hers. So I feel like a lot of her behavior, because I don't give her a pass. I think she's a horrible woman. I think it is horrible that you would leave any child to fend for himself. I think his father was very weak for allowing this miserable woman to make him choose, quote unquote, families. And I think that she married this man because she thought, oh, he older, he got it figured out. And ha ha, boo boo, you got fooled. Like, that's
right.
What
he ain't got no money, nothing. And
Right.
wasn't they said something about him being like her sister's husband's
Correct.
father or something?
His son married her sister. So Joe's brother, his oldest brother, married her sister, and her dumb ass married the father.
All
And
right.
she, but Joe's big brother is about it. He got money. He doing his thing. His father
Struggling.
still in love with his wife that died.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be clear. So, and then to have all them kids with him, that's on her. Ain't nobody tell you
Yeah.
have 4 kids with him. He ain't had nothing when you had the first one.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
he was
no
just
sympathy for her. I don't like that lady, and she's terrible.
Didn't he build the house? Didn't he build the house for her?
What's the house? Okay, it was a shack. He built a shack. He built
Oh,
no
right.
I
house.
thought it was more of a. Okay, I wasn't.
They took,
That
I
house
didn't.
was broke down, crying a mess.
yeah, they
Yeah,
put
it
Mm-mm.
him
was half done.
on
It
the
was half done. I
table.
forgot about that.
Mm-mm.
They
And
put
Joe,
something on the table for poor baby. He was like 10 years old when they told him to get out the house, poor baby. So
listen, she put him out the house. Then they left him at 15. Joe has had to get it out the mud his whole life. And even with Crew, he's still in school. Like Crew is
Yeah.
not it. Like he's got to get good marks. And it's like he's doing the best he can. And I do appreciate, I like when men get with women like Joyce, because a lot of times when you get hot, you get the hot girl, but you need somebody that's really there for you and true to you. And I think that's why Joyce, for me, and she don't even like her life, but she like, you know what? I'm making the best out of it. I gotta work for this judge. I'm
mhm,
supporting my man. It'll get better one day. It got to.
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, Joe and how interested I am in his story is what's keeping me, what's really pulling me into the story. So it's very character driven as much as it is, history driven. And it is interesting to hear a little bit about the history, of that time. So
Hmm.
that's
The
another
weather, the
yeah.
Nazis, all of the. Who
Uh-huh.
knew all that bad stuff happened with like the rain and then the droughts? Like the 30s was a time to be alive between prohibition.
I
Then you
don't
got the
know. I don't know about all that.
Nazis. Like they was out here really. Life was real.
Hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard out
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm interested to get to this next half. We will be continuing on with it when it comes back to Stephanie O's turn, I believe.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's our review of the book, guys. Next month, we're getting into March, of course, and we're getting into a new book. And of course, it is my selection this time. So we're getting into some spicy stuff yet again. I got two favorite genres, guys. It's the smut genre and it's the thriller genre. Those two are my bags. So we're getting into smuts. And this is a smut with a little bit of thriller, apparently, because I don't know if you guys listened to the audio clip, the sample of the book. Well, let me just tell the audience we're going to be reading Little Strangers, and this book is unhinged, apparently, based off of the audios and the reactions of people I've seen on TikTok. So, yeah, Little Stranger. And check us out next month. Around the end of the month, we'll be discussing that one. Okay. All right. That's
All
it.
right, little strangers.
I will see you all later. Thanks for being here. Please like the video if you like the video and subscribe to